Looks like I might even still have the chat from our the previous video, so that's pretty interesting. Haven't done this before, where we tried to restart the live. So you guys holler at me in the chat if things are back on track, and if not, yeah, on Facebook it looks like we're live again. So I just need to hear from a few people to know that it's working and y'all are hearing me. Okay, good, Nicholas. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. Okay, yeah, I don't know what happened there. That's really weird. We may have lost power in our building. Internet might have gone down. No telling. Could be, of course, there's always somebody, Big Brother's watching, right? So they don't like us being in the tavern, Republican or Democrat. What was I talking about, though? Let's see. We were talking local. We were talking, man, I don't remember. You guys tell me in the chat what the last thing we were talking about was. I know my challenge to you tonight is definitely get out there and get involved in any local race. So pick that local race, stand at the polls for them, holding a sign on election day during early voting, and, of course, election day. Oh, I was talking through the Texas races. And post your sample ballot or just list the names of the people that you're supporting. So that four-way AG race, that's what I was talking about. I've heard that the other two that I don't know are good. Mays Middleton has been a great state senator, like phenomenal state senator. And so as soon as he got in the race and called me, I endorsed. Actually, he didn't even call me at first. I had already decided I was going to endorse him, and then so when he called, I was like, "Yeah, man, I've just been waiting on your call, man." Anyway, and then months later, Chip got in. Chip Roy, my congressman, who is fantastic. I'm a big Chip Roy fan. So I've got two good friends, good people that I really, really do support that are running against each other, and two other people. And so since I'd already endorsed Mays, I told Chip, man, I'm sorry. If I'd known what you were getting in, I would have reserved my endorsement and maybe endorsed both of you. But once I endorse somebody, I try to just, keep it there that way. So, so anyway, we'll see what happens in that one. I'm sure it's going to be a runoff. And, if it's between those two, then I'm sure I'll stick with Mays in the runoff. If it's one of them and somebody else, then I will certainly support one of those two. But we'll see what happens. At any rate, that one's going to be an interesting race. And then you got a railroad commissioner race. You got, which I think, let's see if I remember right, it's Beau French, and I can't remember who else is in that one. I don't know Beau well. I've met him once or twice. But he looks like a good candidate to me in that race. And then what's the other one I'm forgetting about? Anyway, I'm gonna go through the races. I'm gonna go to iVoterGuide.com, look up the ones that I don't know, figure out who I'm going to vote for, and then I'm going to go ahead and post that. Now, the reason that's important for you to do the same thing is because, as I said, most people have no idea who they're going to vote for. They quite literally get in the polling place knowing who they're going to vote for governor or president or whatever the big race is on the ballot that year or at that particular election. And then, they go down, I heard of that name, I think, sounds familiar, and they vote for them. It's that bad, I'm telling you. So when you post your sample ballot, you may influence 10 votes. You may influence 1,000 votes. I don't know. But 10 votes is a lot. That makes a huge difference in a local race. Remember, I lost by 20 votes on election night in 1998 out of 30,000. So 20 out of 30,000 is a .00 whatever. And then won by, 36. Then I lost 4 years later. So I won big 2 years later. And then 4 years later, I lost by a couple of hundred votes out of 45,000 votes cast. So I'm telling you, every vote counts. That's a state legislative race with tons of money being spent and being the number one target in Texas for the Democrats. What about a local race where only, 500 people are going to vote? You get 10 votes in there. That's a huge difference. So trust me on this. Announcing who you're going to vote for is a good thing. Don't worry about, the haters and all those people. I got petty people. I guarantee you when I post mine, there are petty people in my county that are a waste of air. I'm telling you, they are, all they care about is their little political fiefdoms and whether or not they get, recognized or you kiss their ring. I can't stand people like that in politics. I avoid them. It's one of the reasons I don't run for anything anymore, because I don't like going and, having to play the game. Because if you run, you do have to play the game. And there's a lot of people like that you have to go, at least try to get their support. And you got to cobble together your coalitions. But anyway, so I'm going to get some hate whenever I announce all these people that I'm voting for, and the little pockets of people that support their candidate are going to be upset. So what? That's freedom, man. That's the whole point of living in a society. They used to vote like that. They used to publicly go up to the porch part, ring the bell, and announce who they were going to vote for. I mean, that to me is actually, I think a good thing. And I know some of you would say, yeah, but Rick, cancel culture and all that kind of stuff, retribution, blah blah blah. Yep, that's true. But you know what? This is freedom is worth it. I mean, if the founders could sign the Declaration publicly, put their name out there publicly when they knew the king was going to kill them for it, the least we can do is put a sign on our fence that says who we're for. And I say that a little bit embarrassed. I can't do that now because we live on the campus and it's a nonprofit. And our friend Esther is running for county judge in the county north of us. And we're right on the almost on the county line. So it would be a great advertising spot for her as people are headed into Fredericksburg. And so she was going to put signs out here, and we can't do it because we're a nonprofit. But used to, when in Dripping Springs, we would put signs out all the time on our fence right on the highway on 290. Because it matters, man. The sign war counts. I'm telling you, it has an impact, again, because most people don't know who they're going to vote for, and they remember seeing a bunch of those signs, they'll vote for that person. So I'm encouraging you to put a sign on your place. If you have a place of business, private, home, whatever it is, if it's not a nonprofit and you're allowed to do it, a church or something like that, put a sign out there for the candidate of your choice, especially the local candidates. And so let me come back to that, and then we'll get into your chats. The local races are critical. I know if you watch me very often here in the Tavern, or you've been in here and had a drink, in Rebuilding Liberty, one of my main 12 steps for the recovery plan for America is restoring property rights. And it's mostly local. Now, most states, the legislature decides what a county can do, and the legislature does set the ultimate policy. Oh, somebody said vote Steve Toth in the chat. Absolutely. I've endorsed Steve. I don't know if he's using it or not, but yeah, Steve Toth, fantastic, running against Crenshaw, and Steve's a fantastic guy. Not only a great state legislator, but just a great guy. Man of God, just amazing. Love him, and really hope he wins that race. Anyway, the property rights battle is real, and we need good legislators that will recognize the landowner should be making the decisions, not some government bureaucracy. But we certainly need commissioners and county judges. And we're, of course, somebody asked in the chat what's going on with Constitution City. Well, we are Constitution City at this point. I mean, we put big signs up just the other day. We've been flying our flag for a while. With this area, this 177.6 acres is Constitution City. It's just not incorporated yet. So, as you drive through your county, you probably have a ton of cities that aren't incorporated, and then cities that are. Even the biggest city, to the closest city to the campus, is Fredericksburg on the north and Comfort on the south. We're literally right in the middle between those two. Well, Fredericksburg is an incorporated city. Comfort is not an incorporated city, but it's still known as Comfort. You still see signs when you come in, welcome to Comfort, but they don't have a city council, and they're not incorporated. So that's basically what we are right now as Constitution City, but we will be an incorporated city. That is the vision that we've been given. That's what we're going to do here, and it's essential to our future. It's just a huge part of how we're going to teach kids and guests that come here how to run a local government. They will get to participate, and maybe even the students that come here might even run for office if they stay here long enough to be able to get registered to vote and run for office. We'd love for them to be mayor or a city council member of this city. So it's going to be a really cool civics lesson just to be a part of Constitution City. But then it's also important to us to be able to determine our own future. I mean, communities should be able to do that. Landowners should be able to do that. And so as a city, as Constitution City, we'll have more say over what our community, the part that we live in and govern, what it looks like and how our roads work and what our building codes are going to be and all those kind of things. We won't get to, we won't use any more water than we would use if we weren't a city. That part is going to be the same. We won't, our septic and our sewer plant and all that stuff will be the exact same as if we weren't a city. So for any of you people that are neighbors or somewhere in the county that has, been against us because for whatever reason you don't like people teaching kids the Constitution and you're petty, and you need to know that those things are going to be exactly what they would be even if we weren't a city. So it's silly, the opposition that we've had to face and the time and money and effort we've had to put into this because of petty political squabbles and people that have nothing better to do and have never done anything constructive in their life or contributed in a positive way to the culture and the tone or the conservative movement in the country. They're just leeches on society. Can you tell how I feel about these people? Yes, I hope it's obvious. All right. So anyway, that stuff's no fun. but it's necessary. Okay. It's just part of it. So get out there locally, find good candidates that you can help and support, and get back to a limited government at the local level. This is going to be a big part of our fight over the next 5 years. We're going to be very involved in pushing for a restoration of property rights at the local level. Now, that's just one issue at the local level. Education, obviously, is something that is mostly done at the local level, so we're very involved in that as well, and want to encourage you to do the same. But you pick the races and get out there and get involved. Okay, let's go to the chat, see what everybody has to say. We've got folks from Ohio and Pennsylvania and all kinds of great places. Let's see. After watching Eugene, Lance, and Pastor Hank, so many more on Flashpoint, I got involved in in local election and now serve on my local school board. BJ, let's go. I just received all my coaching material from Patriot Academy. I look forward to coming down to Patriot Academy and also to start holding classes. Love it, man. That is awesome. That's the kind of stuff I love to hear. You know, sometimes you wonder, we're saying all this stuff, telling everybody to go do all this stuff. Do they do it? You know, in fact, BJ, let me tell you a quick story. So when you watch Biblical Citizenship, which you've probably already watched it, but if you haven't, when you watch it in week 8, we've got a panel up there, and Super Coach Scarlett's on there. I think she's in the chat tonight. Scarlett's up there. Super Coach Ken Davis is up there, and then Joe Messina, a buddy of mine from California, that's on a school board. So like you, he got involved and ran for school board. And when he ran, and this was about 20 years ago, when he ran the first time he lost, I think he might have lost twice before he finally won. Then when he won, he was the only good vote on the school board. And it was that way for several years. Then he got somebody else finally won. Then it was just the two of them for several years. Then somebody else finally won. And he now has a majority. 20 years later, I just saw him at Godspeak Calvary Chapel, Scarlett's church, where Rob McCoy's church out in California. And he came, which is where we filmed Biblical Citizenship, by the way. Anyway, I was speaking there back in November, and he came up, and it was so cool to hear that they now had the majority. But think about that, it took them 20 years. All right, if you're not in this for the long haul, you better rethink things. We've got a meeting tomorrow night, a big event happening here at the campus on what to do about Sharia law. Frank Gaffney, former Undersecretary of Defense under President Reagan, actually in the room at Reykjavik with Reagan and Gorbachev. Amazing guy. He's now part of our staff, and really glad to have him as part of our Patriot Institute and leading our national security partnership, which is one of the main items there, is how do you prevent Sharia law from happening in our country. But anyway, Frank's coming in for this. Bill Federer, who most of you out there probably know. Bill's amazing. I love him, and just a brilliant guy. Writes a new book every 3 days, it seems like. But seriously, incredible guy. He's going to be here, talk about the history of Islam and his book on whatever Americans should know about the Quran. Chris Dunham, the dean of our Patriot Institute, who's been speaking on this and warning about Islam for more than a decade. Incredible teacher and wealth of knowledge. Myself, and then there's a surprise guest that's going to be here tomorrow night. We have not announced who it is and will not announce it until the event starts for his safety and for our safety. But will be a very interesting addition to our discussion tomorrow night on what to do about Sharia law. So anyway, join us online. We're going to have what do you call watch parties, and I think you had to be a coach. Scarlett, you're on here. Let me know if that's how we set this up. I think you had to be a coach and use your coach dashboard to stream our event tomorrow night. But it's called What to Do About Sharia Law. And the reason I brought that up, I was talking about being in it for the long haul. You've got to be willing to fight for decades. Most of the big issues of the day happen and we win on those issues after a really long fight. So it's the whole 20-year overnight success or 30-year overnight success. And the homeschool movement was that way. The defeat of Roe v. Wade, 50-year battle. I think defeating Islam and preventing that cancer from taking over our country is going to be a generational fight. It's going to take 20 or 30 years to win this, maybe longer. And so be ready, buckle up. Don't expect a short fight. Some of us will not even be around when we ultimately defeat that. Okay, let's see. Oh, I love it, Ryan. That's how it's supposed to work, right? You do your class, and then people out of your class go do their own class. It's like that old, commercial, that whatever, what was that shampoo commercial? You tell a friend, they tell a friend, 2, 4, anyway. Okay, I know that wasn't that funny. All right, let's see. Pray for the South Dakota COS team because there is set to be a hearing on the COS resolution this Wednesday. That's right. Before the South Dakota House Committee on State Affairs, pray that the Lord moves these committee members to support this resolution, both in committee and on the floor. Amen. Amen. Good post, and absolutely we will. That's a big one. That's a big one. We need to win. We need to get South Dakota over the line. We're well over halfway there. We got 20 states now with Kansas, but it'd be great if we could follow that up with South Dakota and a couple other states this year. And President Trump has been hinting at it. And if he gets really behind it, it'll be good. Let's see. Liberty, Missouri. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yes, iVoter Guide is the best resource, Ryan. I agree. Let's see. Will Patriot Academy be doing something for 250th? I was hoping to visit for the 4th of July. Yes. The answer to that question is absolutely yes. Everybody keeps telling me that we need to know the specific plans. What are y'all going to do for the 4th? And I apologize. I don't have the specific plans yet, but I can tell you this. Let's see. I was trying to get back to that. Who was it that asked that? Let's see. Yes, there we go. Josh. Okay, yeah, Josh. I can tell you this. We will definitely be having a huge party. July 4th falls on a Saturday, so it's a perfect opportunity for you to come to Constitution City. Where else would you want to spend July 4th for the 250th birthday of the nation than Constitution City, Texas? Come on, folks. Anyway, we're not going to have what I was dreaming, which was to have Independence Hall built and open it up for the 250th. That's not going to happen. We're basically going to be breaking ground for Independence Hall. We've had to build so many other things on the campus, and it's just we've gone super fast. I mean, we've only been here 3 years, but not fast enough for me. So anyway, we're taking those steps. But we're still going to have a huge party. We've got the interior of Independence Hall done, and so we're hoping to showcase some of that and just have a great weekend. I'm even thinking about doing something on the night of the 1st. Wouldn't that be cool? Because July 1st, that's whenever they took the first vote for independence, and it failed. That's the story I tell in Constitution Alive, where you had Pennsylvania voting 3-2 against independence. You had Delaware tie 1-1. South Carolina voted against it, and Thomas McKean sends the dispatch rider to go find Caesar Rodney. So it was the night of the 1st when Rodney makes his midnight ride. He gets back on the 2nd just in time, walks in literally with his spur still on his boots from making that 80-mile ride, and just in time to break the tie. Anyway, I think it might be cool if we do something for July 1st and 2nd. So if you're making your travel plans, that's several days early to be coming in. But if possible, be thinking about it. We'll put out a schedule soon and have our plans announced, but we're still kind of putting it all together. It's just been tough to get everything done. I'm so far behind on so many things right now, folks. Oh man, y'all pray for me. Pray for me to not have paralysis from these huge projects that I have not been able to get over the line that I hope to finish last year. No kidding, in 2025. And a lot, anyway, I know a lot of you, in fact, somebody just asked about the book for Rebuilding Liberty. I mean, I was almost done with it 10 days ago, like literally putting finishing touches on, and some stuff happened that totally, derailed me from being able to finish it. Should have gone to the printer. Anyway, it's just been like that. It's tough right now. Okay, so pray for me to be able to be steadfast and just get some of that stuff over the finish line. Okay, let's see. Yes, start planning. If you're coming in from Utah, now is the time to plan. Okay. Oh, of course, Wade. We always need a coach, man. Let's go. Milwaukee County Supervisor decided last week that ICE must apply for permission to use the county parks for staging. I could understand. Oh man, this chat. I've got to figure out how to keep this thing from moving on me whenever I'm reading y'all's questions. Understand that. I can understand that for Memorial Day weekend in the summertime, even. But now, yeah, look, these blue cities that are literally standing in the way of law enforcement from doing its job. And let's be clear, I say this every time I talk about this subject. If you were listening to my radio program last week, I talked about it. I am not for any federal law enforcement that is not constitutional. Any federal program overreaching its boundaries and its jurisdiction. And so, often when even the FBI and the DOJ are going after people, I don't think it's a proper federal job for them to be doing that. ICE, on the other hand, and immigration is 100% constitutional. It is specifically listed in the Constitution as a federal responsibility. So that is the area where federal, you always hear feds trump state. Well, in that case, they do, because that is the law of the land. And they are the ones tasked with that. Most of your law enforcement and police power is local. And a little bit at the state level. Why? Because you want that to be your neighbors. You want that to be your community policing itself, and not people coming in from somewhere else in the country to take care of local neighborhood Johnny who broke into the store at 15 years old and might need to have some justice and mercy in order to be taught not to ever do that again or whatever. You do that much better at the community level. But if you've got invaders in your community, if people have come from outside the country into your community, That is a proper function of the federal government overseeing the whole country and protecting the whole country and supposed to be protecting the borders. That is their job, to come into your community and get that person out of your community. Whether you want them there or not is not the issue. They came into the country illegally. So even if your neighborhood wants them there, sorry, this is one of those things that's decided by Congress, decided by us as a nation. And so ICE is simply enforcing the laws that Democrats passed, by the way, that Chuck Schumer and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama are all on record, on video, saying that we need a secure border and you can't come here illegally and we should deport everybody that comes. I mean, that's Democrats and Republicans alike that have said they would do this. President Trump's just the one actually doing it. So, yeah, 100% agree with you. Milwaukee County or anyone, all the stuff in Minneapolis, any local city or state that is preventing the federal government from doing one of the few things, only 17 things the federal government is supposed to do. This is one of them. So if you're preventing them from doing one of the few things they're supposed to do, you're in the wrong. You should be stopped. And so I can't believe we're losing this argument with so many people in America who are now, anti-ICE, anti-immigration enforcement, anti-law, basically. They're anti-rule of law. They're literally against implementing and enforcing the law. It's insane. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Scarlett's right. Find ways to take action through rebuilding liberty, presenting In God We Trust model to be placed on our city council dais for starters. Already in motion. God is on the move. I love it. Progress, progress, progress. Ronald Reagan album, interesting. Rick, you should find out if you can republish that. Well, I think, it would be public domain at this point, and I'm actually going to create a little, when you come to the campus and you see that it's in a big, we spent the money to frame it really, really nice. So you see the whole record and, all that good stuff and pictures. And but what I want to do is take the audio of it, which is actually on YouTube. You can go listen to it. I want to take the audio of it and make a little player right there under the frame picture, and that way you can push the button, and you hear Reagan giving that speech. So pretty cool. All right. I know I missed some people, and I apologize for that. Nicholas asked if there's a method for impeaching or removing a governor or an AG, and the answer is yes. Almost I think every state. I'd have to go look specifically, but I'm pretty sure every state always has a method for impeachment of public officials, just like we do in the Constitution for federal officials. Any local government, same thing for recall or impeachment. And generally speaking, it's going to follow the same model as the Constitution. You've got to have something that rises to the level of impeachment. And so the state constitution will usually define that, just like the federal Constitution does. High crimes and misdemeanors means crimes and misdemeanors at a high level by a high official. It doesn't mean your misdemeanor has to be a high misdemeanor. It means a person at that level is committing that, whatever that thing might be. And it might be, as simple as what they impeached Clinton for, which is lying under oath. So if you're lying under oath, you're setting a really bad example for the whole country. And you're basically saying the law doesn't matter. Everybody do whatever gets you out of trouble. So you're setting a horribly bad example. And Congress decided that if they didn't impeach Clinton for that, they would be, essentially saying to the country, you can lie under oath. So same thing with governors and AGs. You've got a method for doing that in your particular state. And the way the constitutional process works for impeachment is that the House has to bring the indictment, if you will, or the impeachment, and then the Senate has the trial, and they vote on whether or not to convict that person of that impeachment. And then if they do, they decide whether, remove them from office and possibly bar them from ever running for office again. So at the state level, it's typically the House will bring the impeachment in your state legislature, and then the Senate will have the trial and choose to convict or not. So that happened here in Texas, actually, with Ken Paxton. I mentioned him earlier. The House impeached him, actually did vote for impeachment, which meant that there had to be a trial over in the Senate, and he was acquitted in the Senate. And it had to do with somebody, I can't even remember all the details now, but it was some guy that, did supposedly political favors, essentially. And so it made him essentially bulletproof if he had stayed as AG in Texas politics. But I don't know what's going to happen in the Senate race, so we'll see. Okay, let's see. I think that was the last one. Let me scroll back up here. Oh, wait, I see burning question. Let's see. Posted for my daughter. I have a burning question. I really don't like the fact that our phones, like Google and Android, and who knows who else, always listen and spy on us. What are your thoughts on this? Does it matter that much? What affordable privacy safety measures can we do about phones listening? Hey, you're not. This is absolutely something to be concerned about, and they are. They are. I mean, I guarantee you somebody is able to listen to our entire conversation here in the tavern, even if we weren't publicly posting it online. If this was a private conversation, they would be able to listen to these things. So they are. There's times that we put them in a, what do you call those bags? Faraday, but I forget what the name of them are. Anyway, there's times that we have meetings without our phones anywhere near, because sometimes the things you say can be taken out of context, or they think something different, whatever. So yes, you should be concerned. And I'm fast approaching the place where I want to do what Charlie Kirk used to do on the Sabbath and completely unplug, not even have my phone with me. We're getting better and better at the Sabbath. Didn't do so well this weekend because we were doing our mailer, but I think getting away from that for a while is good too. Not that wasn't really your question, but I do think it is. It's becoming, we're so tethered to it. It's, in fact, I was talking about Chip Roy earlier when we were in DC probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and we had a group of young people that we were doing a tour of the Capitol and all this cool stuff. And Chip came over and talked to the students, and somebody, I think it was my son actually, that asked him what's the biggest threat to their generation. And he pulled out his phone and he said, "This is it right here. You got to get off of that thing and not be so hooked." Anyway, that's great question. Should be a burning question and continually be a major concern. Yeah, smart TVs, absolutely. It's is it Fahrenheit 451? It's not Orwell. It's Huxley, I think, or not Huxley. That's Brave New World. Oh, somebody help me. Bradbury. Fahrenheit 451, I think, is the one, right? Where it's your TV's basically spying on you all the time, and you got to go watch it at a certain time and all that. Anyway, we're getting close, man. We're getting close, unfortunately. So maybe maybe Constitution City will become a tech-free zone, perhaps. No, I don't think that would necessarily work either. All right, got to run, guys. Got Flashpoint here in just a few minutes. They like me to dial in early and get the camera and everything set up. So God bless you. Have a great night. Thank you for joining me in the tavern. Make sure you get you some Patriot Brew coffee, patriotbrew.com, and do make plans to join us on July 4th. But between now and then, get busy in those local races. Local, folks. That's where we can make the most difference. And make sure you get some candidates that are willing to protect your property rights. We'll see you. God bless.